It's never going to be perfect, but I would say just make sure that you're preparing yourself and the business.
Today we have Bradley Kaine, Managing Director and Co-founder of Kaine Mathrick Tech. Welcome, Bradley.
Thank you. Well, happy to be on board.
It's good to have you. Now, tell us a bit about your business.
Kaine Mathrick Tech. We're in the IT industry. We're a what the IT industry calls a managed service provider. Managed service provider is an IT term, so to try and explain that to the rest of the world, typically we align our business to our clients and become their IT department. So it's an outsourced model. So Kaine Mathrick Tech is a business that started back in 2010. Myself and another guy called Scott Mathrick joined forces and launched the business. We've had lofty growth aspirations since day one. I think growth wise, we're at about 68%. I think now year on year. We put a 20-year plan in place back in the day when I did about a year into running the business, and we're about 11 years into that 20-year plan, and our plan is always to get to $100 million turnover business. So, there's a lot. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but KMT's fundamentally we're in the IT space, really high customer service. I don't know if that answers the question well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And how did you get started?
So I got into IT because I was always interested in computers as a younger guy. Computers and IT wasn't even a term when I was when I was that young. Computers were pretty basic. But I always had an interest in them, just how they worked and whatever, and no one else did around me. But so I had this interest in it. When I sort of finished school, I went and went to university only for a year. It was business computing and very basic stuff back in those days in the mid 90s. And so when I eventually went into a different career first. I wasn't in the IT space, but I ended up coming back to it. And once I got started in IT, I realised pretty quickly that I wanted to run my own business. So I did a lot of work leading up to starting, like learning my craft and on the technical side, and then getting the business started was. I kind of looked at it and said, I can go and do it myself, or I can, if I find someone along the way on the journey who complements me, then I'll potentially start with them. And that's where my business partner Scott, he was the only guy I worked with over that long period of time through my IT career that I went, that's the guy. And so one day I just sort of, said to him, I'm going to start this business because we talked about it. Are you in? And we just, we were literally having drinks over a Christmas period. And in late 2009, and he said, I'm in, let's do it. So we kind of registered a business and business name, and we just got started transacting with small at the start, and that was kind of how we started it in its infancy.
Fantastic, great. And so then, where do you bring the most value to the marketplace now?
Yeah, I think like I've probably said it before, but definitely that small mid market is where we focus. I think when you sort of go above a certain size, like our biggest clients are sort of maybe 300 or 400 staff. When you get sort of above that size, there's generally an internal team or team of people that help with IT. So it's sometimes a bit hard to, like, with our smaller clients, we're all things to them in terms of IT. So we're defining the strategy. We're aligning IT and technology to their business, and we're looking after everything, whether it's their IT support requests, whether it's selling them and procuring their hardware items and all that sort of stuff, and doing it, like I said, doing the strategy and cloud migration, whatever it is. We do a heap of stuff for those smaller businesses. I think that's where we add the biggest amount of value, and in there, I think our key differentiator is we're so customer centric and customer service focused. Like we hire for that. It's sort of really ingrained in the culture, and one of our key things is our people are your people. So like it's a very people and relationship focused way that we do things. We speak in really simple terms. We're really honest and transparent. I'm not just saying those things. It's just the way that we we've built the business and the types of people that we've got. So I'd say it's the biggest thing. If it's being really customer centric, and helping clients with IT, which is a big problem for some. That's probably our biggest differentiator, is being really high touch, high customer service in IT, which is a bit rare, we've found. So yeah, I'd say that's probably
Great. Yeah, yeah. And so a bit of a mindset question for you. What had to change in you personally from kind of those early startup years to, now where you've got that, level of success you've had your 68% year on year growth, which is really solid. And, what had to change in you?
I think, like, when you start a business, you don't know what you don't know, and there's so many things that I don't know. I've got a long way to go to get to from where we are to get to 100 million. I'm going to learn a hell of a lot and have to work a lot of things out as I go. But I'd say when you first start out, two guys, you're working, you're transacting, you're really busy. I think my cut off was 2 p.m. 2 a.m. in the morning was when I'd cut off and go, I'm not going to work past 2 a.m. And I'd wake up at 6 a.m. And I remember having like 3 or 4 months straight like that, because we'd taken on a lot of work and a lot of clients. I think you go through all that, and you've got the energy because you're inspired and you're working at it. But when you start to transition and have to build a team, there's some big things you got to go through. My focus initially was we've got to focus on the team, and I'm not as focused on clients. And my business partner used to challenge me on that and go, "No, our clients are the number one thing." And I said, "Yeah, but for me, it's our staff. If I don't build a team and look after this team, they won't look after our clients." So I think that was a big one. I was early on that one. Scott, I think he understood after a while. He goes, "Yeah, you're right." He's so customer focused. He's just I've never seen anyone like him. But yeah, I suppose that transition to focusing on a team and having, because that becomes the most important thing. Without that team, we wouldn't be successful, and we wouldn't be able to service the clients. And letting go of things like I had to let go of in my career. I went from in the technical stream, starting out at the bottom, and wanted to become what's called a solutions architect, and that was kind of my Everest at the time of my IT technical journey. And then I traversed into sales while I was still in my career, and I had to let go of a lot of technology stuff. And that's an identity probably thing where you're fighting with having to let go of all the things that and so much so to a point now where I'm still involved in sales and some technology stuff, but you got to let that stuff go, because you got to learn HR, and you got to learn finance, and you got to learn all these other key areas that are more important to, someone's got to do it. Scott's still, technical and, out in front of the clients and doing pre-sales and solution architecture and stuff that he loves. But, I suppose letting go, that's one of the things you got to do. You got to find the right people, trust them, and, give them what they need and get out of the way. So I say that's probably one thing that you got to start to prepare yourself for, so you're not the guru around this technology piece or that part of your business anymore, because you've got the right people. And to be honest, you hear these phrases get people that are smarter than you. And sometimes the ego side of you says, "Well, I know no one's as smart as me." You probably have those conversations. I've had those conversations, but I realise there's people that are way better at stuff than I ever was. So they're killing it, and it works. So I think just they're probably the biggest things, getting out of the way and of yourself, really.
I love it. That's really good. And so, Bradley, could you give us maybe a couple of insights or, growth levers, I guess, that you've pulled that have given you sort of your most dramatic growth over the last 11 years?
Yeah. There's one key element to our growth, and it's always been in place ever since we started. And every time we talk to any new staff member and anyone in sales, is client retention. I worked for companies that, I remember having a conversation with one principal back in the day, and or the owner at the time, and he said, we've just got to sell more than we lose, and like losing clients. And I said, well, that's just crazy. There's so much work that goes into selling, and but the customer service piece wasn't there, and they weren't able to retain clients. So the biggest one is that retention. If you go through all this work and effort to sign a client and start working with them, like if you can't retain them and retain that revenue, well, that's So I'd say that's the key one. We don't typically lose clients. We've had probably one or two we've had to walk away from in the end because it wasn't the right fit, and then we've had a couple of ones that have been acquired and procured or whatever, and those sorts of things. But generally, we've retained all of our customers and clients on that journey. So that's a big one. That's definitely the one I would say, client retention, protecting that revenue. The other one, we've always been pretty lucky. We get referrals and we've got a reasonable network, and that's that drove the growth for a long time in the early days. But then we started to hit we started to sort of hit. It was hard to. It's easy to grow from it's easy to grow from 250,000 to 500,000 in the next year, and you go there's 100% growth. And early days you get big numbers, but we found it harder and harder to sustain the growth. And I suppose it's because when you start to break things down and look at where your weaknesses are, like we'd never invested a cent into marketing at all because we just use our networks and we're quite good at selling the value of what we do. So that was a big weakness that I recognised years ago, and we started a journey a couple of years ago, I think, when we rebranded. We launched the new brand in 2020 when everything was in lockdown. We thought this is a great news story to launch it rather than waiting for that utopian time where we can get everyone together and celebrate. So the marketing bits, and we're actually starting to see the benefits of that now. It's been a bit of a longer journey and a bit more expensive than maybe if I had started out, I would have gone, oh gee, I don't think I could spend that much on a website. But we're starting that's starting to drive our growth now. So I'd say in the past it was networks and client retention, and our networks just drove the what would you call it, organic growth or that referral type business. But I'd say moving forward it's going to be this marketing engine that we've built because it's starting to bear fruit.
Yeah, great. And so then with all this experience, what advice would you give to a business owner or CEO who really wants to bust through to that next level?
Advice to guys. Depends. Like if you can actually sit down and honestly look at your business and do some, like I said, like SWOT analysis and understand where your gaps are. Like we look at it pretty honestly, like really, and we can be pretty critical on ourselves and look at, like I've had to work with every department in our business. It feels like it's ongoing, where we look at it, can the whole business scale together? Like, we're starting to get this marketing engine working and the sales teams converting really well without having to have principals or the owners involved, which is really cool. But then the problem is, if you can't sustain that growth within your teams, so we've got a service desk team that runs all the managed services side. We've got a projects team. Like our projects team alone, I think, has gone from a couple of people like a year ago to 8 or 9 people in there just to deal with all the, we spend a lot of time with clients working on their strategy, and it's driven a lot of project work and stuff. So I don't know if I've got one piece of advice to break through. I'd just say make sure your business is, if you're going to go out and chase sales and marketing, and you've somehow turned the funnel on and you've got a lot of opportunities, I just never saw the point in going and doing that without being able to deliver. So it's making sure you I don't know, chicken and egg thing, but make sure that you're ready to scale. Because just wanting to grow for the sake of growth and not being able to service all your existing clients and new ones, well, I don't see the point in it. So make sure that you've done the time, you've looked at your business and your people, your processes, and all those sorts of things, and make sure you can scale. And don't get me wrong, I think we've had 3 instances in our history where the growth's been so big for us that it's caused issues for us and our for our team getting a bit burnt out, and our clients noticing the service levels drop, and we've always got to the bottom of those things and worked out why and fixed it. So it's never going to be perfect, but I would say just make sure that you're preparing yourself and the business for that growth, because sometimes when it comes, it's like, be careful what you wish for, because you've got to keep delivering. We'll never. So luckily, probably I'm going to get to a stage where I'm too old to be doing the hours that I can do sometimes when we have those periods of time. But I'd say just make sure that you're prepared for it, and you haven't just thought of the funnel, the sales funnel, you've thought about the team and how you scale it and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's great. I always like to ask this question, Bradley. If you could go back 5 years and give your slightly younger self a bit of advice, what would that be?
Um, oh yeah, well, look, I think personally, like I've always been a big believer in the thing you make like your most important thing. If you put all your time and focus into it, you'll succeed in it. And I've spent a lot of time, a lot of years putting all my time and focus into the business and wholeheartedly, and it is successful, and it's not exactly where I wanted it to be by this time. Like if I look at the trajectory and the planning, but we're certainly doing pretty well. But I'd say for me personally, it's I I'm in a pretty good space mentally, but I didn't always look after my health. And my health's I'm in pretty good shape, but I've got a long way to go. It would have been just for God's sake, just make it a bit of a priority. You've got the time, you can find the time. So you can choose to look after your health with every bite you make. So I'm at a point now where I'm actually really starting to live that way a bit better and eating a lot cleaner all the time and more consistently. So I'd say that's the one. It's just your health's the number one thing. So
Love that.
so it's probably that if I was to go back.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Pull
good.
your finger out, Brad, and just get on. Get it done. So
For sure, for sure. Because yeah, and that's the thing. Like if you haven't got your health, you haven't really got anything. So yeah, you can't turn up to work or anything. But yeah, finally, who can you best help? And if they want to reach out, how can they get in touch?
I've always said, like every time we meet a new client, and sometimes you do meet a customer, and they go, "Our IT guys are quite good," and I always say, "Look, if you're being looked after and they're doing the right thing, then that's great. You've got a good relationship in there, and that." But I would say anyone out there that's running a business, they're not happy with their IT provider. The service levels aren't there, the communication's not there, the transparency's not there. They're not building a strategy for them. We do get a lot of some of those small hyper growth companies that they've got the one man band, and he's been quite good, but they're too big for them now, and they can't really service them. So I'd just say if you feel like you're not being looked after, they're not building the right roadmap for you and really aligning with your business, then yeah, give us a call. Like we like I said, I think at the start, I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to give the business a plug at that point, but we're a
Yeah,
really
for
high
sure.
touch MSP that an IT service provider that aligns with your business. Really good customer service, great team. Lots of like referenceable clients that they can talk to. So if someone's out there and they feel like their IT is not up to where they up to standard or helping them help with their business growth, then yeah, give us a call. We're always keen to talk to new clients. So
Yeah, fantastic. And what's the best website to reach out on?
yeah, our website's it's www.km for Mary, KM Tech. So we're Kaine Mathrick Tech, but kmtech.com.au.
Wonderful. Bradley, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate the value.
Yeah, no worries. And it was good to have this brief chat with you. So yeah, I look forward to listening to it and maybe cringe at my voice. I always find my radio voice not the greatest, but yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, mate. It's been amazing.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.